What's up, and welcome to episode 286 of First Geek for 11. I'm your host, Cameron Franklin, and joining me this week as we chat Snow White, The Last of Us, and Nintendo Switch is all the way from West Coast, Best Coast, Emma. How you doing?
Hi, I'm doing good. Living the best life. How are you?
Nice. I'm doing good. We're talking pre-show. It was a pretty busy day for me at work, but I'm
Yeah.
excited that we're here. I love getting to chat geeky stuff, and so
Yeah.
this is always like this. It was definitely not Chris and my intention of putting this on Monday, but one of my favorite parts about us choosing to put it on Monday is it's like, oh man, the work week has started, but at least I get to chat geeky things tonight.
At
And
least there's
so,
podcast tonight.
yeah.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
that's definitely a part of the day that a part of Mondays that I enjoy is that it's like, hey, at least
It's
here
my
is
favorite
this
part of
fun thing
Mondays.
I get to do. So
Yeah. It's my favorite part of Mondays.
if you want to come be a part of our favorite part of Mondays, you can do that by finding us as One Geek 411 around the internet. Join that Discord server. You can chat geeky news, including some of the stuff that's going to be our what we've been up to has been posted over there. You can
Yeah.
also shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. Watch live on Twitch and YouTube Monday nights around 6:30, 6:45 Mountain Time. Then find the videos over on our YouTube where you can like and comment and subscribe for all of those VODs. And then you can check out that Redbubble store. Before we get into our news for the week, we both have some pretty hefty what we've been up to for this week. And so I'm
Yeah.
excited for
It's
this.
been a week for us both.
And so, including stuff that's of course, we chat throughout the week in the Discord and stuff like that. And there's stuff in your what you've been up to that I'm excuse me.
Yeah.
And so I'm very excited for
Yeah,
this. So,
I've done some things.
but let's go ahead and kick that off. Emma, what have you been up to this past week?
Okay, first and foremost, the things I am so excited about. I'm going to show this on the camera for anyone who's just listening. There's photos in the Discord. But on Wednesday, I got a tattoo, and
It's
it
so
is
cool.
one of my favorite things. Sorry, Mom. Um, I'm going to say, I mean, at this point, I'm a grown adult with an adult job. So, you know,
Yeah.
but it is Ellie's tattoo from The Last of Us with the moth and the two ferns, except the moth is a robot as
Why
a
is it a
nod
robot?
to Horizon Zero Dawn, my other favorite video game. So it's super cool and I love it. And we were talking about this before the show, but my artist was super great and he's worked on big names. So I'm not going to mention on the air because that just seems polite. But he's worked on a couple of people that are pretty common household names
Mm-hmm.
that I didn't know going
I was.
into it.
It was crazy when you told me.
Yeah,
We'll just keep teasing
and
it
when
and
he
not tell
said
the
me
audience. But
when he told me like halfway through the session, which was like 5 hours, I was like, excuse me, like, but it was pretty wild and it was great. And it's not fully done yet. I've got maybe another 2 hours of work left on it. So like not all the leaves are filled in yet, and the shading hasn't been done on the moth. But I already have my second appointment booked, and it's only going to be like 2 hours for a couple of weeks from now to get it done. And I love it, and it's great, and he killed it with
it's
the
so
design.
cool.
I literally just sent like in my appointment thing, like, I want Ellie's tattoo, which is this with the photo attached, but like with some Horizon Zero Dawn something in there somewhere. And then I showed up on a Wednesday and he was like, I made the moth a robot. Very simple and obvious choice, but I was like, I didn't even think of that. Wow. So I love it.
Yeah, I'm
I
so
keep
excited. So
loving
I
it.
have questions for you as someone
I
who has
have
always
answers.
found tattoos interesting but is afraid of needles. So,
Yes.
so one, pain level throughout the tattoo. How did you feel? Like,
Like taking an electric toothbrush to a sunburn,
okay,
if you can imagine that.
yeah,
Literally the vibration and everything. Like, it's not fun. It's for forearms specifically, like, that's how it feels. Like it's not an enjoyable time, and it's slightly irritating, but like I was able to sit through it like pretty well. Um, yeah, but the worst part was up here because the closer, like your elbow pit is super
Hmm.
sensitive. So this whole part hurt quite a bit more. It was more like
Okay.
taking a fork to a sunburn,
Ugh. Okay.
but you know,
Uh, Next question. As someone who is impatient, how did you survive 5 hours? like,
as someone with ADHD, surprisingly well.
like that just like when you told me how long that took, I was like I don't know if I've sat down for 5 hours for anything. like,
Right?
um,
No,
and so like,
it
did y'all
pretty
have
well.
breaks? How'd that work? Like,
Yeah, we had two breaks, just for like bathroom and stuff. Um, but my artist also had on this fun, random playlist of songs that neither of us had heard before. He just picked something random. And then songs from an album came on that was a concept album that he'd learned about, that we started talking about. That was apparently, it was all songs where the lyrics were written by kids K through 12, and then like winners were picked, and then an actual recording artist would come in and like record it and write the tune to it. So we just listened to this concept album and talked about it. And there's things like there's one called boring, and it just lists a bunch of things that this kid thought was boring. Like going to the dentist is boring, and school is boring, and all these things. And we had a good laugh about it. But we just sat there and talked the entire time, which kept me entertained.
yeah,
So
yeah. I feel like that would be a big struggle for me, as it's like if it was
yeah,
something where like, especially if I was working with a tattoo artist that like was not geeky but was like just a good tattoo artist, of like if I had
yeah,
nothing to talk about for 5 hours of like I'm just
yeah,
sitting here, or like
yeah,
making very basic small talk of it's just like, man, like I mean I've said for a while I think I'm like one convention away from getting a tattoo,
yeah,
of like if I go to a convention and there's a tattoo artist that has cool stuff and they have an availability, like I think there's a pretty solid chance I'll get a tattoo
yeah,
at
absolutely,
this point. But and like I have ideas, like I've thought about it, um, but yeah.
absolutely.
And then
Well, yeah,
we talked about
and
this
this one
pre-show.
took a
I
good,
love the crossover too. Like I think
yeah,
that's super cool.
yeah. It's a fun crossover. I mean, it's really one of those ones that if you don't know anything about either of the games, it's just like, oh, that's cool, that's fun. It very much passes for like a normal person, not very nerdy
Mm-hmm.
tattoo, which is great and part of why I love it. But then if you know anything about The Last of Us, you can recognize it as Ellie's
Mm-hmm.
tattoo. But that then also means that I can go, but there's another level. The moth is a robot for another game. Guess which game that is? um, so that then I remember when I first met my artist, he was like, "This is such a cool idea. I've always wanted to do Ellie's tattoo." But then when you pitched like Horizon Zero Dawn as well, like I was even more excited to do it. So it was something that I was like, yes, that means it's great. It's a great idea. So yeah,
Yeah, I love that. I'm so excited for you.
yeah, I love it, and I'm so happy with it. And it's great. And there's a bunch of little details in it that I keep noticing that I didn't notice before, um, that are seen better in the photos I sent. But like parts of the wings are see through, so you can see some of the leaves through the wings, which is cool. And like I didn't notice that for a while. And yeah, it's fun.
Yeah.
So
Don't
anyway,
mind me as I'm going to the Discord to go look at the
yeah,
pictures again.
photos are in there,
So
somewhere.
yeah, you put them in video games.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's
which
such
is
a
a
cool
very
game.
logical spot to put them, honestly.
Yeah, yeah, it all checks out.
Yeah. um. So yeah, that's one thing I did this week. Um, Other things I've done this week, I got back into playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla because
The
I
game that
have
never
yet.
ends.
yeah, I have yet to finish it, and I just felt like doing something um, that just kind of involved doing side quests. I just wanted to do side quests when I sat down, and I was like, you know what, Valhalla is a good game for that. I can just run around and do side quests with no pressure of having to do a
Mm-hmm.
main story or whatever. I had a good time. I raided some villages and collected some collectibles and did the things that you do in a game like that. Um, that was fun. I played, I hobbied the hobbies and played several TTRPGs this week. Um, Played my home game on Saturday, and by home game I mean soundstage film studio game because that's where we play. Um, but it is a home game. That was a lot of fun. We fought a bone devil. Um,
Nice.
the rest of the team got a blink dog as a pet, and
Nice.
it pained my heart as a very much a dog person whose first character got a blink dog, but my character in that campaign did not want to be involved with the blink dog because she's not a dog person, and it hurt my soul deep down. But then I asked the pet guy in the game if he could get me a raven because
Nice.
my character is a bird person. So I'm hoping that she's going to get a bird at some point. Looking forward to that. And then I also played some Marvel Multiverse.
What?
I wonder who ran that. It was a lot of fun. I'll let you talk more about that because that's also on your list.
Mm-hmm.
Had a blast. It was a great time. Um, I played a robot whose superpowers were computer things,
Yeah.
things you could
have an
expect a
awesome
computer
character.
to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and that was a lot of fun. Um, air guns. Don't know where that came from, but it just kind of ended up being a joke.
Yeah.
Um,
Sometimes things happen.
and
Like,
sometimes things happen, and that's the joy of TTRPGs. And then, last but certainly not least, yesterday I went to an opera, I guess you could call it. um,
this was a thing
for
that was
the
super shocking to me when I saw
I
this in the
know,
notes of like,
but for the context, it is an American modern opera, so it's all like the opera technical singing, but like it was an American opera about a baseball team. Um, and I went because one of my friends from D&D was in it. So a couple of us went for his last performance to support him.
oh, that's
And
awesome.
so like that's how I ended up there. And it was a lot of fun. It's a like on the shorter side it was like 70 minutes, 80 minutes,
Oh,
I think. So it was like a short performance. But it was a lot of fun and super great. Just little opera. It was like a community like arts center that put it on. Um, and my friend was a sailor in it, and it was very delightful. And it was just so fun to go and support him in this thing that he loves to do. And then we all went mini golfing after, and it was a very fun like Sunday afternoon
that's
out
awesome.
with friends. We go support one in his performance, and then we play mini golf after, and then we drive the hour and a half back from Orange County to our homes up in Hollywood because the performance was down in Orange County, and we're gonna drive that to support our friends because we love them.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's the weird, unexpected thing that I did yesterday. That I was like, yeah, it was a good time. Like it's not something I would have done by myself by any means, or just on a whim. But I'm gonna do it to support my friend, and then the show was actually quite fun. So yeah, that's what I did this week.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So from me, I hobbied the hobbies this week, and so got a good handful of stuff. We're gonna start with books. So I have
Yeah.
been reading "I Am Made of Death" by Kelly
Yeah.
Andrew. This is the like not connected sequel, like sequel in the same world to Your Blood, My Bones that we did a book club on. So here I am like raising my hands so that I can go and find that book club and put the link to it here. Um, Very cool book. I have about 90 pages left, and so I've been really enjoying it. Kelly does a great job of writing like stories with like big stakes, but that are like very small casts, and that's one of the things that like I like a lot about her work. Of like when we did Your Blood, My Bones, like there's basically only 3 characters in that whole book. There's like one section that has more characters, but that's it. And like 80% of the book has literally 3 people in it. And this one kind of is similar, where like there's more of a cast in this one, but like in a similar way, it is like 5-ish people total. And so it's really interesting. And this one's told from like a dual perspective of the 2 protagonists. And so it's very cool to kind of see that back and forth. And I think every chapter alternates. There could be some that don't, but generally speaking, every chapter alternates between the 2. And so it's been a very good read. I'm hoping to have it done by tomorrow, just based on how much I have left. And then in the world of comic books, again, shout out to my local library that has all of the collections over there, but I'm reading some Excalibur comics, and really enjoying Captain Britain and getting to see Avalon and all of this like crossover stuff. And then, Rogue and Gambit also feature prominently in Excalibur. And so I love like them as a power couple. And then, with all that, I'm almost done with Dawn of X, which is like the first major arc of the Krakoan era. And so it's very cool to kind of be at the end of like, I have Excalibur, I'm in volume 1, and then I have volume 2, and then that's everything for Dawn of X, ironically, except for the Dawn of X comics, which are not at the library. So like I can't read like the main arc, but like reading through these other parts has been a lot of fun. And then next up, I believe, is X of Swords, is the next like major thing. And so looking forward to that. Other hobbies that I hobbied, over on Cameron Plus Deanna, I have been streaming Wanderstop, which is the cozy tea making game. That is definitely about a D&D character that gets pushed too far and then like has an existential crisis and like has to deal with the consequences of that. And so the game's gotten like really deep, and like I really like where they're taking the character versus it just being like, and you make tea. And so I'm in the final section. I think I probably have like an extra hour or so to go, maybe hour and a half. Like I'm very close to the end. And so been really enjoying that. And then I started playing Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown, which is a like Prince of Persia Metroidvania. And so that's been very cool. That's kind of for the same reason that like you were talking about enjoying Valhalla, of like I have been really enjoying Ghost of Tsushima, but like sometimes I just don't want to sit down and get like a narrative that I feel like I need to pay attention to.
Yeah.
And like while Prince of Persia does have a story, I am much less invested in that, even though it is really cool and I am enjoying it. But like I don't feel like I have to be as checked into the dialogue as I do in Ghost of Tsushima. And so I've been really enjoying that. It's a great Metroidvania. I've been enjoying the exploration and stuff like that. And then also in the video game news, some former coworkers and I got together and played some Super Smash Bros. On Saturday. And so that was a lot of fun. We all used to work together and then would have like a bi-weekly Smash Bros tournament. And it was something that like they were doing when I started there. And so I kind of came in on the tail end of it. And part of the gimmick is that they have a trophy that goes to whoever won. And so, so this time, for the first time, I managed to bring home the trophy. Now, is it because the final round was a gimmick round? 100%.
I did so much.
Yeah. And so we played like each round, was basically like a mini tournament where you would do, there was 9 of us. So we would do like 3 matches of 3, and then the winners of those would play in the finals. But every round had a different rule set, and then also had a character requirements. And
Interesting.
so like some of them were like you can only play characters that featured in Super Smash Brothers Melee. So any character that was in that game is playable. Other times it was stuff that was like, I'm trying to think of the other one. Like there's like the no repeat characters. So like you can play anyone, but once someone plays Kirby, Kirby is off the table for everyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't play it in the next round if you win.
Yeah.
And so like, so it's really fun. And then I don't know how they decided this, but they decided whoever won the last one is the one that got the tournament. And so even though I did not win the most rounds, I won Kirby's home run bats only.
Amazing.
Not Kirby, sorry, Jigglypuff's home run bats only, which was sheer chaos. And
I'm sure.
yeah, I managed to take home the win in that. And so that was how I got the trophy. And so now I have to A, not lose the trophy, and then B, take the trophy with me the next time I win or next time we play so that it can go to whoever wins. And so that was super fun. It's something that like I said, we used to do a lot. And then now everyone is like dispersed into like different jobs of like, I was the last one. At that job. And so it was very cool to see a lot of people. Some people I still work with at my new job. So I see them regularly, but a lot of the people I don't. And so it was very cool to see these people again and get to hang out and get to chat and of course play some Super Smash Brothers. And so, and then some sad news before we talk Marvel Multiverse. People know that I have been doing a lot of brewing lately. And I have had what is probably the worst thing possible, which is I lost a batch of mead. And so, this was mead that I made with honey from some friends. And then it was my peach mead that I was really excited about. And I actually like opened it to smell it before going to like the day before Friday night, before going to play Smash Bros with people. And I opened it and I was like, this smells awful.
Rancid.
And I remembered like when I bottled it, like it didn't smell great, but like it tasted fine. And I was like, oh, okay, it just has a weird smell. But like, if it tastes fine, it tastes fine.
Yeah.
But like, because of that, I opened it and I felt like I owed it to myself to try to drink it. And so after work on Friday, like I poured like probably like half a shot glass.
Oh no.
And like sipped it and just immediately spit it out. It was one of the worst things I have ever had to drink.
I'm sure.
We had strawberries with dinner and like specifically left the strawberries out after dinner so that I could palate cleanse the mead. It was, I think it's kind of like what will happen with wine where it can go vinegary. That was basically exactly what happened. And so I've done some research since this occurred. And so I think one of two things has occurred and or both. One, there was a problem with my friend's honeys. It was wild honey versus everything else that I've done has been like processed. I get it at Costco. And so I think there might have been something in their honey that I should have like strained out or boiled out or like done something to it so that it would not have as much stuff in it. And so I think that was potentially the problem. Then the other side is I have read that like if things aren't sanitized correctly, this can happen. Like it can be like a bacteria in the mead. And so the other side is I'm usually pretty good about remembering to sanitize everything, but it's very possible that that is what happened. And I just missed sanitizing a spoon or sanitizing
and stopper or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Some little thing. And that's what caused the problem. And so you live and you learn. The other mead I made in that batch, was my mixed berry mead, which tasted great. And so like, it's at least something that is like isolated to that one batch. But yeah, I had to pour out, 3 wine bottles of mead, as well as 2 like of my like little like 6-ounce bottles that I give to people as gifts. And so
That's heartbreaking.
yeah. And then I had to text people and be like, hey, if I gave this to you, don't drink it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I'm really sad about it. And like thankfully, like it's not like a big like financial thing, especially because it was like friends mead, and I just made a gallon, so it's not like I'm losing like $100 of honey. But like it definitely made me sad. But I know now I can do better with my 2 current batches that I'm brewing, as well as my gallon of cider that I got going. And then look for pictures of that in the Discord, because I'm hopefully doing some of that this weekend. And so we'll see as I move stuff to secondary and add flavors and add stuff like that. So, and then last thing, and this is what Emma referenced, and then you can find part 1 of our character building for this. We teased this last week as well, of us playing Marvel Multiverse over on City on a Hill. And so we built characters, Emma, Ryan, and I. And then this past weekend, we got together and played with those characters. And so we're not going to spoil too much of like what occurs, but we played the Enter Hydra one shot. And then Emma already mentioned their character. And oh man, it was such a fun idea. I loved your character. All the characters in it were pretty cool. But like, and then high level, like this was your first time playing. I've played this one shot. This was my 3rd time playing it. My first time playing it with people using custom characters. But like I actually, like for my in-person Marvel group that like we're playing through the campaign, we did this one shot as our intro to the system. And so like I had them play through it, and I liked it. And so then like the events of our one shot are canon for the world that they're playing. They're playing their game in. And so especially because like they played with like the main, like the convention heroes, and so it's established characters. And so but high level, what'd you think? I hope you had fun. Like
I had a lot of fun. It's definitely a system I would tell people to go play, especially just as other Marvel fans. Again, I played an android named Andy, who got her name from the fact that she had Andy written out on the bottom of her foot, which was just a fun little, like, I thought of the name first, and then I was like, oh, it would just be funny to have that on the bottom of her foot because of Toy Story. Like, that's just fun. So anyway, fun little detail. I played a robot named Andy, and her superpower set was essentially like, I am computer. I am going to copy paste your powers, and I am going to zap you with electricity, and I'm going to phase through things. And it was fun, and I would love to play more at some point, especially with Andy, because that's just such a fun character idea.
Yeah, it's such like an interesting concept of like, I mean, we joked about it in the recording, but like on one hand, like Emma playing the electricity character is the most like Emma thing possible. Of like, that's your like, I love Storm and like
Storm
like,
and Thor, like
exactly.
Those are my
so,
two
like,
favorite characters.
Like there's that side of it, but then like I love that like you came to this idea of like the ability to take powers is like, of course, a very established Marvel power, like Rogue being kind of the big one, but that it exists, Taskmaster, all these other characters as well. And like you taking that as like it being an android thing, I think was super fun.
Oh, I'm just going to copy paste it, you know?
Yeah. That's not something like I would have ever thought about. And I just think that was such a cool idea.
I'm going to copy paste. Yeah.
And then
it was a lot of fun.
I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but I'm going to just say I knew this when you picked the phasing powers that they were going to be super relevant, and they were indeed super relevant. So,
which I just picked them because they sounded like fun things to potentially use Whether or not they would be usable in a one shot was another deal. But there was one in particular that you're referencing that,
Yes.
again, when that event happened, I was so excited.
Yeah.
Because I was just like,
That
oh,
was one
I
that,
didn't
like,
think I was able to use this.
yeah, that like
But now I
knowing,
can.
like when we built the characters, knowing like what was going to happen, like when you picked those powers, I'm like, oh, Emma's gonna have fun with this. Like,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. And I did. The answer is correct. I did have
and
fun with
you
it.
did.
Yeah. So it was definitely a lot of fun, and I love that it gives you much more flexibility with your character than like D&D or Pathfinder with like having set
Mhm.
classes.
Yeah.
Like you can, there's quite a bit more flexibility of like setting up what you want to do. Like you can think of, you can make your own class basically,
Mhm.
um, of like I kind of want to have this superpower vibe, and then they just give you the whole power list, and you can build that from the floor up, which is super cool and great, and definitely like awesome if you want that kind of
Mhm.
character flexibility, um, just in building a character. So
Yeah.
that's definitely an
And
aspect of it I loved.
yeah, I feel like it's an intimidating thing to start off with because it's like there's no rails. Like
Yeah,
it's literally
none.
if you want to do it, you can. And so like for one of our other players, like she wanted to do plant-based powers, but there's not really any plant-based powers in the game.
No.
So like we reskinned the spider powers as
Yeah,
plant-based. And
which
so
is a
like so instead
really
of like
smart thing to do.
yeah, and like the system is super flexible in that idea as well of like just like hey like you want to like reskin this, so like we reskinned webs as vines, like stuff like that.
Yeah,
And then like it was such a cool character concept as well there of like um, being like okay she's like a plant-based melee hero, and so
yeah.
it was some super cool ideas. I was very excited about that. And then Ryan was playing a like earthbender-esque character,
Which
and
was
so
also
that was
super
really
fun.
fun as well.
Yeah, it was a very joyful time, and I would definitely do it again.
Definitely, definitely looking forward to playing some more should that occur. And so,
Yeah, should
uh,
that occur?
should that occur? But yeah, that has been our definitely prolonged what we have been up to section. Uh, and enjoyed the chats. I love the weeks where we just have kind of a lot going on that we can share
Yeah.
and chat about. And so, but let's go ahead. Oh, and I should say, chat, let us know what have you been up to? What have you been playing, watching, listening to, all those kinds of things. Um, if you're in live chat, we will talk about stuff over in the post show, or if you leave a comment on YouTube, we will respond to comments. And so, but let's jump into the news for this week. Emma, what do you got for us?
I've got a couple of things. First and foremost, it was Snow White's second weekend in the box office, and to the surprise of no one, it continues to flop and make nowhere near its budget. Um, just basically throughout this, just even the trailer, based on the response to the trailers alone, this doesn't come as much of a surprise. Um, there was a lot of negative feedback from audiences simply based on the trailer alone, and people weren't interested in it. Um, and then there's just been a whole bunch of things with several actors not, um, like maybe Rachel Ziegler more so than other people, um, just being in the spotlight of like not doing the press junket too much good when it comes to the movie, but it's, let's see, I'm trying to find my numbers.
Yeah, it's also like some
Basically,
unfair standards of
yeah,
like there's definitely some stuff there that is like
yeah,
you're gonna ask someone their opinion, and like we're not talking about like cancelable behavior, like
yeah,
people like
because it's
really
not.
freaked out over what is effectively nothing.
Yeah,
IMO. Um, but um, but yeah,
yeah,
there definitely was was worlds of controversy leading into
yeah.
this.
Um, and even long before it like came out, like there's been stuff since like last year about it and surrounding it. But basically, domestically, it's made, I'm doing quick math in my head, like just under $30 million in the past 2 weekends, which, I mean, for all of us normal people, like we could retire with $30 million and be
Yeah,
set for the rest of
definitely.
our lives. Like, that's a lot of money. But when it comes to box offices, that's for most things a failure.
Yep.
And this, I believe the projection ultimately that I saw for how much it took was like $350 million to make this movie.
Yep.
Um, so even with worldwide box office stuff, it's not making anywhere near to recoup because you have to essentially make double what you spent to recoup the cost of a movie. Um, and it's not doing great, to the surprise of no one. And on the one hand, it's unfortunate because like I was a Snow White kid. Like she was my jam growing up. I loved her. So naturally, she's still my favorite princess. And I was so excited when this was first announced. And then as things progressed, it became clear that like it wasn't going to go well. So it sucks. Because I know there's other people out there who are like, I love Snow White. She's my favorite. And it just hasn't done well because of both controversies and just on the production side. Like the costuming wasn't great. Um, there were certain decisions around the dwarves that also weren't great,
Yeah.
for reasons, um, and
The
all of
effects
these
as a
different
whole,
things.
just like in the
Not
trailers, didn't
great.
grow. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, what's his name? Um,
And then while you're looking that up, I feel like there's also a lot more of the I am interested in the movie, but not interested in going to the theaters for it now.
yeah.
Like, especially post COVID, like, like that was me with Moana too. Like, I was really interested in seeing
Yeah.
that movie, but like, not enough to go to the theater. So like, once it hit Disney
Yeah.
Plus, I watched the movie. Like, I was
This
definitely
is
interested, but
definitely one of those that people aren't like have that attitude
yeah,
about, like especially based on the feedback of the trailer. Like people aren't gonna go spend money to see this in the theater. They're just gonna wait until it's on streaming services
yeah,
and they can watch it for considerably less. Um, but yeah, this, I mean, Peter Dinklage is the name I was looking for. Even spoke out against
mm-hmm.
production choices on this movie, pretty much rightfully so. Which then like brought a lot of attention to the movie and just definitely shifted people's opinions of whether or not they were going to go see it. Um, so it both makes sense that it's not doing great, and it sucks that it's not doing
Yep.
great because this is a big, famous production company, because that's what Disney is. They are first and foremost a movie
Yep.
production company, and like this is a lesson that they can take from this. But are they going to take the lesson? Probably
Yeah.
not. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah,
It's also the
that's
latest in like a run of like polar opposite films for them.
yeah.
Of like Inside Out 2, like highest grossing animated movie ever. And then like then you have this on the other end of like, and it just feels like they've had so many back and forth lately, or even like Captain America: Brave New World, kind of in that same
Here's the
camp of like,
question for you:
okay,
is Inside Out 2, technically speaking, Disney or Pixar?
oh, um, I thought it was Disney, but now that you're asking that question, I'm not sure.
Technically speaking, it's a Pixar movie.
Oh,
Disney may own Pixar,
yeah.
but it's first and foremost, Inside Out 2 was made by Pixar. Whereas Snow White was made directly by Disney. So part of the reason Inside Out 2 is doing better is because Disney knows that even though it owns Pixar as a company, they know to leave it alone.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
don't bother with Pixar IPs because they do so well with what they make that Disney knows to not get its fingers in that.
Yep.
Because it's what's making them money and keeping them afloat.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same idea of like parent company mumbo jumbo type stuff.
Yeah.
Of like the same thing like with Marvel. Of like, is Marvel technically Disney? Yes,
Yeah.
but like it is a different production like pipeline.
Is
compared to-
Lucasfilms
and
technically owned by Disney now?
Exactly,
Yes.
exactly. It's all that, but
Like-
it's all that, but and like of course there is definitely like meddling, for lack of a better term, from the higher up stuff.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, and so, yeah, again, I completely forgot that Inside Out was Pixar, and so good on you. In
As
chat,
I
Sneaky
say,
says,
all of the things that are like unique, like first time IPs essentially, I especially when it comes to kids movies, I just immediately assume they're Pixar rather than Disney because Disney likes to reboot things.
Yeah.
As we're seeing.
Yeah. In chat, Sneaky says live action Disney has not done well overall. Yeah, the live action remakes have definitely been a struggle. This is kind of the latest one of like, I think Little Mermaid ended up doing well in the box office. But I don't remember if it actually like if it made back it's like 2x to like your point from earlier. But yeah, like it's kind of like been the latest in that in that streak. I don't think Mufasa did great, but maybe I'm just like not in the bubble and like I don't remember.
I don't know. I don't know anyone who went to see Mufasa, and that's saying something. Like most of my people who I hang out with go to see pretty much everything that comes out.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who went to see Mufasa, so.
But yeah, hopefully we'll see some turnaround. Obviously, like there's the like no studio is of course ever like fully insulated against like changes in the market, but like if there are companies that are insulated, it's companies like Disney that can afford the like can afford the miss, and then can make it up in like revenue elsewhere, in parks, in like and all that kind of stuff, and like merch and all of those things that like again other companies would not have the option to do. And so in chat, Sneaky says Mufasa grossed 720 million worldwide, 250 million domestic. That's a big split, and so that's much more than I was anticipating. And so good for them. Like to your point, like budget, I don't know.
Its budget was 200 million.
Okay.
So it more than tripled.
Yeah.
Its budget.
Yeah.
Which is
good.
I mean, good for them.
That's great.
In general.
Yeah, like again, we're not like the final word on anything, but yeah, but to your point, like I don't know anyone that went and see it. I don't know anyone that even talked about thinking about going to see it.
No.
Like, which is not where you want to be as a Disney movie. And so clearly it did all right, but like definitely not where you want to be.
No. So yeah, that's the continued update on Snow White. Every once in a while, this kind of thing is my entertainment for a couple of weeks where I pick a movie and just keep track of what's happening with it as it's coming out. And recently it's been Snow White, which makes sense as something I would be entertained by because I am in the film industry. So I
and
just
such like original Snow White is such an important film.
Yeah, again,
like, it's like
such
a big
Snow
deal.
White kid growing up. Like I went as Snow White for at least 2 Halloweens, in a row, and I loved my Snow White outfit. Like she's still my favorite Disney princess, but this I'm just like I have no interest in going to see it. because it just doesn't look good. Doesn't look worth my time. Anyway, yeah. My other thing that I have, speaking of Last of Us tattoos and the show that's coming out in a couple of weeks, the showrunner, um, whose name is Craig Mazin, says he has no interest in coming back for a season 3, because he first and foremost says it's a lot of work and like intense work for this show in particular, which makes sense because they're sticking so close to the source material that they have to like do a lot to keep it source accurate. But he also says that that's all he, or essentially is that he just wanted to work with source material in this adaptation. And he just wanted to see it through to the end of the story as it already exists, which is in the 2 parts that we have on the PlayStation and PC now, I think. But we only have 2 parts in terms of video games. And Neil Druckmann has repeatedly said that there's no part 3 in terms of a video game in development, because the studio is focusing on other things right now, including a new IP and other stuff. So that doesn't mean there won't be a season 3, but again, because the material only exists up to the end of a season 2, even if a season 3, like even if The Last of Us as a TV show were to essentially pull, as I call it, a Game of Thrones and go beyond the source material, the current showrunner would not necessarily want to be attached to that season 3 because he's just really wanted to work with what already exists as source material. And that's fair and that's valid. Like, if I were in his shoes, I would also like only want to go into a project like this. Like that would have been my intention going in, which makes sense.
Real quick call out. We do know that part 2 of the video game will be at least 2 seasons. So
yeah,
we will at least get 3 total seasons, but part 2 of the game. So just to clarify the vocab of like part 2 versus season, like that's where
3 or whatever. The showrunner doesn't want to go.
Doesn't want to do a part 3.
Doesn't want to go into territory where material no longer exists. Source material no longer exists, because he went into the show with really only wanting to work with the source material. So if there ever ends up being a point where that happens, where the show continues on and goes past source material, he doesn't really want to be involved with that, which I just thought was an interesting thing to mention. Again, this is one of those things that I like to keep track of like, oh, people behind the scenes are commenting on the things they're working on and like their thoughts about the future of that project. And this is one of those cases of him being like, like if it goes beyond the material, like I'm like I have my end point in sight that I wish to finish at, and that's that. That's fair.
From chat, Sneaky says, "Man, that stinks. Mazin is killing it." Yeah, like it's obviously
he's
like
doing
the
fabulous.
Yeah, the studio at Naughty Dog. I mean, I'm a huge Last of Us fan. Obviously, we both are.
Obviously,
that's true. Like, but like, but like, Mazin has done such an amazing job bringing it to film. And like, or bringing it to the screen, I guess, like not technically, well, whatever, regardless. And so I think that that's such like a big, like he's done so much for the IP in that. And as you have said, Sneaky brought this up as well, smart to, on his part, seeing how bad HBO botched Game of Thrones. Like, I really think that at this point, that's something that like anyone that's doing an adaptation has to consider. Like,
Yeah.
I don't believe Druckmann for a minute that there's not going to be a part 3 in some
Yeah.
form or fashion. I think he has hinted at it before that they have an idea for the story and all of that. Like,
Yeah.
it might not be for 5 years, but like,
Yeah.
I can definitely see it being something that we eventually get.
Yeah.
But I think that Craig is very smart to be like, hey, I'm adapting the game to HBO.
Yep.
That is all I am doing, and then I am stepping away. And then
Yep.
I really hope that HBO like respects that as a like, hey, we're gonna like let this sit, and like we're gonna just like let this lie be hopefully 3 amazing seasons of television,
Yeah.
and then like not do anything else so that could mess up the IP. And so just because
And I
of the
think in
amount of
general,
love that they've put into it. So
well, yeah, and in general too, it's been so successful as a show that I think it's like, in comparison to Snow White, this has been such a good example of what to do with an IP, because it's stuck to the source material and it's done so well with ratings and audiences and things, that this is the flip side of that coin of just like, when you adapt something and actually stick to the material that exists, it's going to do considerably better, because you've got the audience that already exists and they want to see what already exists, in visual format, or a new format, and B, you've already had proof that what's already there does well because
right.
there's an audience, which means doing it in a different format is going to bring in even more people, because not everyone plays video games, but lots of people watch TV. So if you do the same thing on TV rather than in video games, knowing that it did well in video games, you're going to keep pulling people in, because now you've given that story to an even larger audience, who's not left out by the pure fact that they don't play video games or don't have the resources to.
Yeah, 100%. I'd be very curious about these comments if Intergalactic was not the next game from Naughty Dog. Like, if when they had announced that, they announced Last of Us Part 3. Like, I'd be very curious to what Craig would be saying here. And I would be curious to, like, again, like, if Part 2 is indeed at least 2 seasons. I think there's even been hints before that it might end up being like 2 seasons, then like a mini like epilogue season, but I don't know how like based on fact that is, or if that was just people theorizing. But like that means we're looking at like season 1 comes out this year. I would assume that means at the earliest the second half of it will come out next year, and that would be probably the fastest that could happen. So like if Part 3 was to drop in 2026, like they could pretty quickly go into production of a Part 3 of the show. But like instead we have Intergalactic announced, which I'm excited for, like not bashing that game. I think it's going to be a ton of fun. But like I'm definitely curious to if that would have changed the conversation had they announced Part 3. So or maybe there has been a secret Part 3 all along. But let's not get too conspiracy theory with that. So but,
I'm excited for Intergalactic. So
yes, I am as well.
It's something that looks right up my alley.
Yeah.
So
we will 100% be doing spoiler cast and all this kind of stuff for Intergalactic, and so I hope that when that drops, it's at a time where you and I can both be like, hey, like
we're gonna both crunch play this and
like let's try to get this done within like 2 weeks and like do the spoiler cast.
I'm down for that, especially now that I've no longer in school and I actually have time and I'm not exhausted, I can absolutely do that.
But listeners, let us know. What do you think? Have you seen Snow White? Have you been watching The Last of Us? Are you excited for the new season that starts in, I believe, 13 days? And so it's like
14th.
Like, yeah. So it is
so
super close. Yeah.
I only know this because that's the week that I'm getting my tattoo touched up.
Oh, nice. Perfect timing.
So, you know, I planned this 13 perfectly. Sleeps. Yeah.
So, but let's get on over to our next topic, which is one from me, and that is kind of a little like one PSA and then two recap. We will be returning to this next week as well. But on Wednesday of this week, we are getting the Switch 2 Nintendo Direct. But, sorry. Come back next week. We'll be chatting about what gets announced there. And then for this past week, we actually got the final Nintendo Switch 1 Direct. And so where we got announcements for some of the final projects coming to this platform. And I'm going to just say it felt like indeed the final thing for the Nintendo Switch. Like there are some announcements that I'm super hyped for that we'll talk about. But then there's other stuff here that was like, okay, clearly you are holding things back for next week, which is now this week, or so you can talk about stuff for Nintendo Switch 2. And so, and like there's even an announcement in here that is like really dumb until you think about it in the guise of obviously they're trying to think about how people are going to migrate to Switch 2. And so that's like, they can't say that, but like, that's clearly what this is here for, and they didn't want to take up time in the Switch 2 Direct to talk about this. And so
so valid.
And so in kind of our traditional fashion, I'm gonna just like read through the announcements. Emma, if anything is exciting to you, stop me as we go, and then of course I'll stop for the things that are excited for me or things that I think are super like newsworthy. This is from IGN. I'm going to just go in the order they have things written. And this might not be the order they actually appeared in the Direct, but so we got Dragon Quest 1+2 HD 2D remake. Cool art style. Probably not playing this game on my end. We got No Sleep for Kadame Date from AI the Solemn Files. And so, which is a title. This game looks interesting. It's I don't know if it's connected to the Nonary games or any of that. Like it looks similar. It's supposed to be like puzzly. And then we got Atlas coming back with Demon Summoner. We got Shadow Labyrinth, which is the dark, creepy take on Pac-Man. And so it's like a Pac-Man, like Metroidvania, where like you're just some guy that has Pac-Man following them, and then like Pac-Man will eat enemies and stuff like that.
Oh, this and was so... there was an anthology series that Amazon did.
Yeah, Secret Level.
One of their Secret Level, and one of their episodes was basically this.
Yes.
It's literally the you've got work to do.
Yeah. And so so that Secret Level is based on the same idea as this game. It was just like announced after the episode came out. And so
dude, I would actually play this.
I'm really interested in what this game is going to be.
Yeah.
Like it's the type of game that like feels like, why would you do this? But like, I am super excited to see it, and I hope it pans out well. Like, because I could definitely see this being the type of game that, like, again, no one is asking for, but then like
not in the slightest.
But like you present this, and it's like, oh, is this like gonna be a secret 10 out of 10? Like, I don't know. I'm super curious to what this is gonna be. We also got Patapon 1+2 replay. We got a Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, which used to be Harvest Moon. So this is a new game in that franchise. We got some gameplay for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, including some of the new powers. And games that Cameron does not understand is Metroid Prime. Like, there were so many people that like were talking so highly of this trailer, and like, as someone who has never played these games, I'm like, man, I don't get it. Of like, it does not look like a great first person shooter. It does not look like it's great puzzling, but like, so many people whose like opinions on games that are fun like talk so highly about this franchise and are so excited for this. I'm like, I'm the crazy one here, obviously, but like,
Obviously.
Then we got Disney Villains Cursed Cafe, which is a like cozy cafe game where you serve stuff to Disney villains. Like, it's exactly what it sounds like. And then we got Witchbrook, which I am crazy hyped for.
Yep. I was going to say this one I'm looking forward to.
Yeah. And so this is, the description is they write a long-awaited spellcrafting and witchery life sim from Chucklefish. Showed off some new gameplay, spotlighting the chill vibes and co-op gameplay set in the Cozy Witch Academy. And so Witchbrook will be open for enrollment sometime this holiday season. Like, this game looks so cool. It has, I think they said 4-player co-op. Like, nice. You are doing like setting things up and like building classrooms and like stuff like that. It looks so much fun. And then Chucklefish is the studio that I think originally published Stardew. And so
this is a very similar vibe to that. So
yeah, and so it's now that, like I said that, yes, they originally published Stardew. And so I'm super interested. This is not like the sequel to Stardew, which I think is the Haunted Chocolatier, but like, it definitely has some of that similar DNA.
I'm keeping close tabs on. So that's going to be a while before Haunted Chocolatier comes out. So
yeah. Let's see. Then we got The Eternal Life of Goldman. We got Gradius Origins. This kind of falls in the Pac-Man category. I don't know who's asking for more Gradius, but like, it's cool that there's like this collection of like all these shmups, and then it's also including a brand new Salamander 3. We got more stuff for Rift of the Necrodancer, which I believe is out on other platforms, but is coming to Nintendo Switch and is coming with Celeste DLC. So that's super cool. We got Tamagotchi Plaza. We got some updates on Pokemon Legends Z to A. And is this game going to run like a potato? Definitely. Am I excited for this game? 100%. And then we got an announcement of like, we saw that there is a day-night cycle in the city. And so the areas where you go and catch Pokemon during the day are going to become like places to go battle trainers at night.
Nice.
And so like, that's going to be super cool. It's called Z to A Royale, which is this like in this tournament that's happening in the city. And so your goal is to battle from rank Z all the way to rank A. And so that's going to probably, of course, be some sort of tie-in with the plot or tie-in with stuff. And so I'm very excited for what that's going to be. And then they also showed that like you can just attack other enemy, like other like characters and their Pokemon, like sneak attack them, which seems extremely unfair.
Yeah.
Like, very bad form. But hey, am I going to do this every chance I get? 100%.
Yes.
Like, so yeah, super excited for that. And then I believe that comes out, I think they said late 2025. And so again, this kind of fits into the thing that I said of like, clearly they have stuff that they can't say as part of Switch 2. And so I really hope that this week we actually get to see ZA like run on a Switch 2. Like, I think that would be really interesting to get that. And see if it like runs, like what it visually looks like. We got Rhythm Heaven Groove as a return of that series. And so it says it has quirky challenges, fun rhythmic activities, and is an excellent art. And its excellent art all looks set to keep the party going. They said in the trailer that part of their goal with this game was to actually design it so that you could play without looking at the screen. That like it's all like audio patterns and audio cues and stuff like that. And so it was designed so that like you could like close your eyes and just like zen out with the music. And play. And so like of course the visuals are cool, they're interesting, but like that's an interesting like goal to be able to play. And then I've never played a Rhythm Heaven game, but I believe this is the third one, and it's part of the reason it's a big deal is I think the composer had cancer, and that's why there was such a big gap between 2 and 3. And so this is him like returning to the franchise so that they could make a third game. And then this is the announcement that I referenced at the top that is clearly a setup for Switch 2, which is the announcement of virtual game cards. So now if you have your account on multiple Switches, you can basically transfer the digital card between those systems, and that can control where you're playing the games. Sure would be nice if you just owned the game, you could just play it on your Switch. Like this seems unnecessarily complicated, but like it's something. I'm not the target audience for this, as like we're a one Switch household, but like it's something that I know some people are very excited about. They also announced as part of this the idea of like if there's people in your family group like that have their own accounts, you can loan games, like library loan games to the other people in your family group, but it has to be over like local Wi-Fi. So as someone who's part of a Switch family group that is not local, also doesn't help me. And so, but I'm excited that this is here. Like this, it's definitely a feature that A, should be less cumbersome, but B, should have been here a while ago.
Yeah.
Of like,
100%.
I know a lot of people that have been like screwed because like their Switch got stolen, and then like it was a huge pain to get games onto a new Switch, just because of how Nintendo does the account stuff. And so I'm excited that hopefully this will make stuff like that easier. We also got a sizzle reel of games coming to Switch, such as High on Life, Star Overdrive, The Wandering Village, King of Meat, Lou's Lagoon Summer, and Fantasy Life I. We got Saga Frontier 2. We got Monument Valley 1, 2, and 3, which I believe 3 is a new game that releases this summer. Okay, and then we got Everybody Golf Hot Shots, which is a big deal. I didn't call this out for Patapon, but like Everybody's Golf and Patapon are Sony first-party games. And so like them coming to Switch is a big deal, kind of similar to what we saw with Lego Horizon coming to Switch. And so I have no interest in Everybody's Golf, but like it's definitely an interesting thing that's coming to Switch. And then we got the announcement that I am most hyped about, and I posted the trailer for this over in our Discord, and that is Marvel Cosmic Invasion, which is a Marvel 2D like beat 'em up, similar to the classic arcade games. They said it's going to same team behind Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge, which I have not personally played, but I know a lot of people speak very highly of. And it's going to have, I believe they said 15 playable characters. And then when you play, you pick 2 characters and you can swap between them. So the examples that they showed was like Spider-Man and Venom. And like you can swap between the two based on what you do. It's going to have local and online co-op. We talked about this over in the Discord. It's also going to be cross-platform. So if someone has it on Steam, you can play with them. It's also releasing on PlayStation and Xbox. And so I am so excited for this game. It looks so fun. Like I said, I know a lot of people spoke very highly of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge. I like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, not really my biggest fandom, but like, let's go with this. I'm so excited to see them apply that success from that game to Marvel, which like insert Spider-Man hat here. I am very excited about. And then our last game announcement was Tomodachi Life, which is like, it looked like almost Animal Crossing-y, where you're like on this island. I think from what people have said, it's more like activity based, for lack of a better term, where like Animal Crossing is a lot more of like, do what you think is fun, go collect things, go do stuff. This one, I think people are saying, is much more like,
they give you activities to do.
Yeah. And this one, it definitely looks really weird. Like the trailer ends with like a giant version of one of the characters. And so,
okay.
Yeah. It's really, really strange. And then the final announcement is that Nintendo Today is out, which is a like Nintendo news app. And so you can go there and find your Nintendo news, including the announcement of the release date for the Legend of Zelda movie. And so that was kind of the first big thing that they announced there. And so, so that was the Direct. Those were the games. Emma, anything specific? We know we talked like throughout, but anything specific you're super excited for?
Really, that the cottage, the witchy, almost Stardew Valley one, Witchbrook. Thank you. That's the one. I didn't have the tab open. That's the one that looks the most interesting to me, because the majority of the like chill based games that I play, like Stardew and stuff, are like I play on the Switch. Like that's primarily what I use my Switch for, is things like Stardew and something like Witchbrook that I would probably get and play on there, because I can take it on the plane and, you know, when I'm traveling, and have a chill time with it while I'm watching a movie or whatever. So like that's the one that caught my eye the most, because that's the kind of game I like to play on the Switch the most. So yeah.
I'm there with you. I have never gotten into I've never gotten into Stardew Valley. I know there are people that run like co-op farms and stuff like that, and I think running a co-op Witchbrook game would be a ton of fun, with the idea of like, hey, every Wednesday we get on and everybody plays together. We get in a Discord call, play 2 hours of Witchbrook, and then like we let it sit, like let that school sit. Play your own games, do whatever you want on your own. But this one sits until next Wednesday.
Yep.
Yeah. I think that would be super fun to do. And like just kind of have this like growing, I don't know if narrative is the right word, but like this growing like world that like is a regular thing with specific co-op people. And so versus like Pal World as an example of like one of the places that I struggled with that game is like I was streaming it and playing it with some people, but like it was just my world. And so like if I wanted to play on my own, I then got further and further ahead of the other people, because they could only play when I was playing. And so like I didn't necessarily want to just do a separate game. And so I'm very interested in seeing like this idea of like running a co-op game with people. And
so absolutely.
But that is the news for this week. We got our Snow White talk, we got The Last of Us, and we got some Nintendo news. We'll get ready to head into the post-show chat. As a book club reminder, I believe we are expecting to have a book club for April. Stay tuned. Hopefully we'll have an announcement for that soon, one way or the other. But we did obviously take March off, as today would have been book club. And so stay tuned for that. And then we can, we'll head into post show. If you're hanging out in chats now, let us know, playing, watching, listening to all of those things, whatever you've been up to. Before we get there, remember you can find us as OneGeek411 around the internet. You can join that Discord server. You can shoot us an email at 1stgeek411@gmail.com. Check out the Redbubble store, watch live on Twitch and YouTube, and then check out the VODs over on YouTube, where you can like, comment, and subscribe. And then you can find us on our personal social media, mine is Humar Whittle.
Mine is I am not prepared with an I am the prepared.
And it's been a great week.
Support your local artist.
Go catch 'em all.